Iran's currency has reached an all-time record low. The US dollar went past 450,000 Iranian rial mark for the first time.
The news from Iran does not paint a rosy picture for the country's economy. The Iranian economy has been suffocated by mismanagement, widespread corruption, and a lack of legal and institutional capacity, unfavorable business regulations, unprecedented US financial and economic sanctions, and a coronavirus pandemic. However, with a population of 85 million people, half of whom are under the age of 30, a strategic location on the Persian Gulf, and vast reserves of energy and other natural resources, including wind and solar energy, Iran's economy has enormous potential that is just waiting to be realized. In this video, I will reveal why Iran is called the last untapped emerging market and how to tap into it. Before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Iran is led by an authoritarian government that has shown little concern for the well-being of its people. But even if they didn't care about the average person, this is still an economic failure because they aren't creating wealth for themselves to hoard at the top. Iran is still a long way away from achieving great success. Despite its many advantages, it only has a GDP of $360 billion US, which equates to $4,091 billion US per capita. That puts it on par with Sri Lanka and Lebanon, both of which are essentially failed states with none of Iran's vast natural resource advantages. Number 1. The impact of sanctions. Sanctions have caused significant damage to the Iranian economy by preventing or limiting oil sales, trade, financial transactions, technology transfer, and foreign direct investment. This, combined with mismanagement, has caused the Iranian economy to contract by about 6% and 6.8% in 2018 and 2019, respectively, while the global economy grew by 3% to 4% in the same years. In 2015, Iran signed the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action with the United States, China, France, Russia, and the United Kingdom, as well as Germany. However, former US President Donald Trump backed out of the agreement in 2018 and imposed sanctions. Sanctions have indirectly contributed to the institutionalization of corruption and worsening of the business environment in Iran by blocking FDI and discouraging foreign investors and companies from doing business in the country. Foreign investors and business partners frequently contribute to greater transparency, stronger rule of law, and more effective and efficient institutions. Under a sanctions-free regime, the Iranian economy can expect to regain access to the FDI and technology transfers required to jumpstart its sluggish economy. This and other domestic economic and legal reforms can unleash Iran's inherent economic potential and capitalize on its vast natural resources, large and young consumer market, highly educated labor force, and strategic location. Number 2. Natural resources. Oil, gas, solar, and wind. Energy is the most important component of any economic activity. While Iran has only about 1% of the world's population, it has 9% and 16% of proven crude oil and natural gas reserves, respectively. Iran also has significant reserves in natural resources and minerals. According to USGS estimates, it has a significant reserve of feldspar, second largest in the world, barite, fifth largest, gypsum, fifth largest, fluorspar, eighth largest, and iron ore, 10th largest, as well as significant reserves of other strategic minerals such as copper, manganese, zinc, chromium, and gold. Iran is estimated to hold 5% of the world's metal constituent reserves, but much of its vast reserves remain untapped. Mining has historically contributed less than 1% of the country's GDP. Furthermore, despite vast natural gas reserves, Iran's output barely meets domestic demand and accounts for less than 1% of global gas exports. Iran can easily meet all of its electricity demand through renewable energy sources such as wind and solar. Electricity generation from solar farms and photovoltaic cells is most economically feasible in areas with DNI above 5 kilowatt per hour per meter square per day, which covers more than 75% of the country. Iran is located in a wind belt with wind speeds at 40 meters, averaging more than 5 meters per second, the speed required for the development of utility-scale wind farms in at least a quarter of the country. As a result, Iran's mining, oil and gas, and renewable energy industries can benefit significantly from domestic and foreign investments and technology transfers as well, and they are widely regarded as some of the most appealing sectors to invest in. Number 3. A fairly large, young consumer base. Iran has a large and young domestic consumer market and labor force, with a population of around 85 million people, half of whom are under the age of 30. It has the second largest population in the MENA, Middle East and North Africa region, after Egypt with 102 million people, and the world's 18th largest. Given 4 decades of varying degrees of economic isolation from the rest of the world, the Iranian consumer market has been looking for any opportunity to open its doors to global consumer brands and trends. Iran's young, well-educated, and globally aware population is the main driver. Iran's labor force has become more educated over the last 2 decades. Adult literacy is nearly 90%, compared to a regional average of about 80%. More importantly, nearly 70% of Iran's labor force has a university education, and young Iranian women have equal education attainment as men. However, due to cultural factors and the traditional roles that Iranian women are expected to play, only half of Iranian women with advanced education participate in the labor force, whereas this figure exceeds 80% for men. Labor market conditions in Iran have improved significantly in favor of women in recent decades, and policies aimed at encouraging greater female participation could benefit the Iranian economy by tapping into the large number of university-educated females who remain unemployed. Number 4. The hostile labor market. A more favorable post-sanctions economic environment and improved domestic economic planning could help millions of educated individuals across Iran find much-needed work. The Iranian labor market has not been able to fully absorb the large number of university graduates over the last 2 decades, and the official unemployment rate among this group has been around 20%, with underemployment figures approaching 40 to 50%. Faced with harsh labor market conditions, particularly since the imposition of sanctions, many of Iran's top graduates have migrated to countries with better job opportunities, costing the economy billions of dollars annually. Mariam Mirzakhani is just one of the millions of talented Iranian expats who could potentially contribute to the economy and development of political and economic conditions improved. Number 5. Infrastructure and geography. Finally, with 100% electrification and a vast network of power plants, electricity grids, natural gas lines, roads, railroads, airports, and ports in the country's north and south, Iran possesses the infrastructure required to support a growing and dynamic economy. Iran is the 17th largest country in the world, with an area of 1,648,000 square kilometers. Several post-Soviet states share Iran's northern borders, including Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Turkmenistan. These borders stretch over 2,000 kilometers, including nearly 650 kilometers of water along the Caspian Sea's southern shore. Iran's western borders are with Turkey in the north and Iraq in the south, ending at the Arvand-Rud border crossing. With access to open waters and a strategic location as a gateway between the Middle East and Central and Southwest Asia, Iran is an important partner in Russia's north-south trade corridor and a key player in China's massive One Belt, One Road initiative, an international development project involving over 1,700 infrastructure projects and over $1 trillion in investment in 70 Asian, European, and African countries. Iran's economic potential is just waiting to be discovered. The recent introduction of the sovereign bond market, improvements in tax laws and collection mechanisms, mobile banking, and the automation of several government and municipal services are just a few of the positive steps taken in recent years to improve Iran's economic and bureaucratic environment. However, much more work remains to be done. In particular, meaningful steps must be taken to promote economic and private sector growth by implementing sound economic policies, addressing the unfavorable business environment, and combating the country's rising levels of systematic economic and Had the country tried another route to revive its economy, this video might have been cut short. What do you think? Will war break out in the region again? Will economic reforms and plans help the economy? Until next time.